mid-January. We've pulled our Duke number 4s out. We're fixing to start trapping coyotes here at the proving grounds. With any trapping, location is going to be your key, but especially with coyote trapping. With these coyotes, if you're 20 feet off location, you can miss them according to the wind and the currents, the thermals, and different things, just like you do with deer hunting. But this location here is excellent because we've got this little trail coming in behind me into this location. We've got a road here at this location, and we've got another intersection to my right. And they've had a stake down roadkill deer over here to make a bait station out of this. So we've got a lot of activity and a lot of travel ways coming right through here where I'm at from both ways. So this is why I'm picking this exact spot to put my trap. So now we're going to take that one step further and pick the pinpoint location that we want this trap placed. Now for our pinpoint location at this spot, I picked this nice clump of grass here. It stands out to my eye, it's gonna stand out to the coyote's eye. Plus, we've got all this vegetation here, and we can use that to blend in our trap better and make it very well concealed. The two most used sets in coyote trapping are the dirt hole set and the flat set. And at this location, because I had this nice clump of grass here, I'm gonna show you step by step how we're gonna put in a flat set at this one. First thing I'm gonna do is remove this vegetation and expose the bare ground. Now, a good thing you can start doing is sit your trap in here, and you can take just a small trowel and make indentions around the edges of that trap. The reason that you want to do that is because that'll keep you from digging out that hole too big or too small, because if you dig out way too much, and you got to fill all that back in. So I like to keep this hole that I'm going to dig to put my trap in as close to the exact same size of the trap as possible. Once we get this dug out, we're gonna have to set this trap in here and try to get it really stable. And that's why you're wanting that hole that you dig out not to be excessively large, that you have to keep cramming stuff in there to get your trap stable. The smaller you make that hole, the easier it is to make this trap to where it don't rock or tilt, because that's one of the biggest problems in coyote trapping. If he steps on a corner and the trap picks up like this, then he's gonna immediately back out, or he's gonna dig or something. It's gonna lessen your chances of catching that coyote. Now, once I dig out the hole for this trap to sit in, what I do is I sit the trap there, and I just kind of take notice of where the levers are on the trap. These right here, where they hit on the dirt, I'll just kind of see where that hits. And then I'll take a trowel or my hammer and dig out for those levers, so you don't have to dig a hole the whole size of this to get that in. You want a hole about the size of this trap, and then notches for these levers to set in. There's various ways of doing this. What I like to do, if the dirt is diggable at all, is to dig out a notch now in this bed. It's gonna be about yay wide, and that's all I'm doing is digging out just a notch in it. And that is for my trap chain and everything to be up under this trap, so I don't have to disturb this whole area around it, dig out of place to put the chain. So I'm gonna stake this trap down up under it. Now, if you're coyote trapping, and you're staking these down with rebar stakes, it don't seem like it, but if you stake him down with one stake, he's gonna pump that out of the ground and be gone. So what you need to do if you're coyote trapping and staking down is have one going one way and one going the other way. Cross stake them. And that's what we're about to do, but that's the way that you want them in the ground. That way, no matter which way he pulls, he's pulling against one of them. If I just put this trap in here, and this damp dirt, I'll call it, it's nearly mud, what it's finally gonna do is that steel is gonna freeze to the ground and it won't throw. And whatever you cover this trap with, as soon as it gets any moisture in it in the winter, it's gonna freeze on top. So we need to pre-plan and think of ways we're gonna keep our traps working, because it's too much work to come do all this when a coyote can't make the pan go down anyway. In this bottle, I've got a mixture of propylene glycol and coyote urine. The correct mixture that I like to use is 60% urine to 40% glycol. And I just mix it in this spray bottle. Glycol won't freeze. So we've got our bed now to where it at least has some protection on it. You can further increase that by using peat moss. And I just give it a real light line in of peat moss. And then I fill the whole bottom of that up where my chain was with the dry peat. And then I'm gonna give it a light coat too, because eventually it's gonna get moisture down there in it. Now, if you're gonna use this mixture like I like to use, you don't just wanna spray the bed, just be sure that you spray it everywhere around the area so that you're not pinpointing where that trap is with your mixture. Because this works down to about 10 degrees. Once it gets under 10, you're gonna start freezing up even with this. This product is called calcium chloride. And what it does is it will keep you working. It's basically like table salt. So if you don't have access to this, you want to trap right now, you can give your bottom of your bed here just a light sprinkling, and it will cause your traps to rust a lot faster because it's simply table salt basically. So you want to keep a good eye on them, have your traps treated, and wash them good when you get done trapping. But that'll keep you working down below 10 degrees. Now when a coyote steps on the pan of this trap right here, it has to go down for that trap to fire and for you to catch the coyote. So we're gonna have to do something to protect this area under the pan from getting dirt and debris under it. One method you can use for protecting under this pan is going to any hardware store, home and garden center, and buying some window mesh. Basically, it's just window screen, and I cut these in squares. I cut a notch, I don't know if you can see it, I cut a notch out right here for the dog of that trap to sit in, and I just lay that over my pan basically. Now that we've got our pan cover, our screen, I've got some peat moss, and you can get this about any garden center, and I sprinkle this over the trap. Now that I've got a real light layer of this peat just covering this trap, I put this glycol in layers. Now I'll give it a light shot of the mixture. Generally like around a ½ inch of covering over my trap. Obviously you don't want any part of your trap showing, but in the wintertime when you're getting real hazardous conditions, freeze, thaw constantly, I go down to about a ½ inch of covering over that. That's including mostly peat moss and then just a light top covering of the dirt over that trap. For some reason, some coyotes back out of just straight peat moss in some areas, so I always like to put on that last coat of the dirt from the surrounding area. And now we're gonna put our final coat of the glycol on top of that. Now all I've done is picked up some of this grass and vegetation from this area, and I'm just gonna start cutting this with the scissors in small little pieces and blending it in so that the coyote can't tell that anything ever happened here. Now that we've got our trap blended in, we're gonna give it all one last coat of glycol so there's no place that's different around this area. Now I'm gonna take this bone that I've collected and drive it in this grass clump. What that does is give this set some eye appeal. This is a flat set, not like a dirt hole, so they don't see anything here. But adding that bone gives a focal area for that coyote to look at as he approaches. Because if the wind is just a little bit off, you can miss your coyote without having anything here. Okay, we got this set completed. We've got our eye appeal there with the bone that we put in the ground. The last thing we gotta do is work on the sense of smell. So we're gonna put bait and lure. I always like at least 2 different scents coming from an area. Take a chunk of meat. I'm gonna tuck that in real good. And that meat that I'm using here at this flat set is not tainted. If you put in a real strong smelling tainted meat on a flat set, he's gonna do like your dog does in the yard. He's gonna start rolling. You're gonna come up and see your trap fired and you didn't catch him, but you probably had a coyote that was rolling, he didn't pull out. Now I've got bait right there beside that bone, and I'm gonna put some lure tucked in over here on the other side of this grass. And I always space them out just a little bit, trying to get a little bit of more foot movement out of that coyote as he works the set. Now all I did when I dug out all this from my trap was place this dirt here, and you may have seen it and been wondering what I was doing. I'm not gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna leave it right here for more eye appeal, and then I'm gonna take what's called a call lure. It's a real strong smelling lure. And I'm gonna place it right there on top of that dirt. And if that coyote wants to come roll out here, that's fine. He's away from your trap, but it has a lot of loud odor a call lure does to pull that coyote in from farther. Okay, so we've got our trap blended, we've got it bedded solid where it don't rock, we've got eye appeal with our bone, we've got bait, we've got lure, and we've got a strong call lure and more eye attraction here with this mound of dirt. So this set's completed, and hopefully we'll have a coyote here pretty soon.